All right. So let me share my screen. Okay. So let me open the JS bin that we were working with. Okay. So any questions with respect to what we did yesterday in JavaScript, the functional nature of JavaScript?
No questions, Raj.
Okay. So
No,
then I want, sorry.
no, nothing. Clear. It's clear.
Okay. So then I want you to look at this particular function and tell me what it does. Any one of you can say that?
So,
Line by line, can you say what it does?
so in the function mathemagic, it takes two parameters, x and y, like two inputs, adds them, and then it square gives the square of that the sum, and it gives the factorial of that result. And if it is odd, it returns the Fibonacci of that. Else, it returns a Pascal triangle of that value.
Okay. So it is just what we discussed in uh, implementation, that you can just look at the code and see what is going on. Okay. You can just look at the code and see what is going on, even tell what is going on. See, very clear, right?
It's very readable, very yes,
Yeah.
Tabuji.
Yeah. So this is the intent of decomposing the code in functions. Essentially, reusability and all is there. No doubt about it. There are multiple ways you can make things reusable. But the intent here is more to make it readable and declarative. Declarative is when, the code language is very much similar to the language of the problem that you are trying to solve. Okay. Does that make sense? Now I can easily reason about this code without having to go through a lot of details at a given point of time. Okay. And I can also test this code very well. Okay, I can test the add functionality individually, square functionality individually, factorial functionality, is odd, Fibonacci, and Pascal triangle. All of them I can test out individually, so that in future, if something goes wrong, I can easily also pinpoint what portion of things is going wrong. Does that make sense?
Yes, Tabuji.
Okay. So this is the entire reason and entire aspect of functional decomposition. Now, two more things I want to discuss. One is that JavaScript being a mostly functional language, it still behaves somewhat sometimes similar to object-oriented languages. Okay, now let us say I say const a equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is an array. Okay, and now I can say that array dot reverse. So this becomes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now this particular aspect of doing things is typically seen in object-oriented programming, where A is a object of array class and reverse is a property on the object. Okay, there is a class array, okay, which holds on to an instance of the array, and there is a function reverse in the class. Now, if I say A equal to new array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I can say A dot reverse. Have you seen such thing in a classical programming language? Do you understand this way of working? Anybody has any
Yes,
trouble
sir.
with this portion?
Yes, Dhawan, it's clear.
Okay, but JavaScript also works in that way, but actually still it's under the hood, not doing it in this way. Okay, rather it is still emulating OO by functions and prototypes. Okay, we don't need to go into a lot of details here, but basically it is able to do all these things by functions and prototypes, because in JavaScript functions are first class. In other languages, class and objects are first class, and functions are just properties of classes and objects. Okay, they are not giving a lot of weightage to functions itself. Versus in JavaScript, it is possible to have functions as first class and do a lot of things with those. Okay, so that is the way it is able to mimic the functionality. Okay, we will not go into a lot of details related to that. It's fine to skip that. Now, two important data structures that we need to learn before we move on with respect to JavaScript are, one is array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is an array of numbers. Okay. This is an array of strings, which is countries. This can be an array of booleans. Okay. So in JavaScript, it is possible to have arrays in this way. So even the way you define them is this way. Okay. If you use the word const, it's a constant array. You cannot later on change an array. You cannot say A equal to 1, 2, 3 after this. Okay. Or if you use the word let, then it's a changeable thing. After that, you can use A equal to 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there is a concept of constants in JavaScript as well, where you would want to define something once, and that will not change later. Okay, but that's not our focus right now as well. So this is the way arrays are done. Okay. Now, other important data structure in JavaScript, which pretty much makes everything possible, is an object. But it's not an object in this sense, where we are saying A equal to new array. Okay, not in this sense. Or Tesla equal to new car. Okay, what we saw here, Tesla equal to new car, not in that sense. It's not an object in that sense. So you can also say it's a map or a hash. Okay, the way objects are defined is very simple. Okay, it is using this notation. Like arrays are using this notation, objects are using this notation. And it is very simple. You have a key value pair. That's it. Okay, you can say name, Tawal, age 41. Okay, gender M. Okay, address. Okay, it's a free form object. You can yourself define what it is going to have in the object. Let me also think of adding TypeScript later down the line, not right now. Okay. So this is the concept of object. You can pretty much think of any shape of the object and create it very easily. I can say that const towel object equal to this. Okay. Const student equal to name foo, grade 12, roll number or ID 5, and so on and so forth. So to create an object, it's simply creating a structure with a key value pair. Have you seen this in action somewhere? Have you seen this object in action somewhere? I would say you've seen it a lot of times.
Yes, Devalji, it looks familiar, but I cannot recall where and all I have come across this.
Basically, it's JSON. Okay. When I say that JSON.stringify student here, it converts the same thing into a string. Okay. And that is what you see all the time everywhere. You have all worked with JSON, right?
Ah, yes,
Hmm?
Devalji.
This is very simple and similar to JSON. In fact, JSON was initially not there. And JavaScript objects were there. JSON was created based on JavaScript objects. Okay, and it has become pretty much the standard of data exchange in the internet. Okay, so is this part clear about objects,
Yes.
arrays, and objects? Okay, and the last thing that is very helpful in the puzzle is that now you can have arrays of objects. So I can say const students equal to student 1, student 2, things like that. So I can have multiple objects within an array. So if I need to store like a library of students or a list of students, what I will do? How will I create that structure in JavaScript? Array of objects. Okay, how will I do that? Array of objects. I will create either an array or a map or an array of objects. Other types are pretty simple, like, a equal to 1. So that's a number type. B equal to foo, that's a string type. And JavaScript does not have complexities like, int and double and float and things like that. It's a dynamic language with runtime inference of things. So if you say 1, it will assume that it's an integer. If you say 1.5, it will assume that it's a float. Okay, it does all that inference at runtime. You don't need to worry about all those things. Okay, if you just say b equal to foo, it understands that it's a string. So those are very simple data types that you pretty much know even from other languages. But these two are very dynamic data types, and combination of these two, pretty much all the problems that you are trying to solve in real world, you can model, in these two, objects and array of objects. You can also have nested objects in JavaScript. Let's say I can say subjects. Okay. And subject can have an array again. And I can have an array object going on here as well. Okay. Name, science. Progress 50. Name, math. Progress 75. So see, pretty much everything that we want to model in real world can be easily represented through an object. In terms of data, whatever data we want to hold for something in real world, it is very easy and straightforward to create a structure for that in JavaScript. And if that is supposed to be a list of entities, then you can create an array that holds those structure. Okay, so far so good.
Yes, Balaji.
Any questions here?
No.
Simple.
Simple G.
And this directly maps to JSON. If I say JSON.stringify students, then it's going to take the entire students array. It's going to create a JSON out of it, which pretty much looks like this. Okay, so I can send that to server or get that from server, and it starts working with JavaScript without doing much modification. Clear? Okay. Now, the last important concept of JavaScript before we move on to other aspects of front-end development. And I will put this here rather than React first. Okay. See, now that you pretty much are aware of the basic JavaScript data structures, what adds a lot more power to it is the functional way of thinking about those data structures. This is not so easily done in other languages. Okay. but in JavaScript, it's very easily done. And we pretty much think of things in this way all the time in JavaScript. Okay. Now, what is all these things? One is map, one is filter, and one is reduce. And all of them are more or less the same. Okay. Have you heard of any of those before? Have you done any time map, filter, reduce operation or anything?
No, G.
Okay, I'll tell you what are those, okay? Let us say I have an array. I'll write it here on. And let me move this portion. Here. Okay. So these are very simple operations actually to understand, but they are very powerful as well at the end of the day. Okay, let me first of all tell you what is map. Okay, map is used when we want to transform a collection. That means, let's say if I have A equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be very useful for you in all the fields, okay, not just in front end. Whenever you are working with anything related to coding, AI, etc., this will be extremely helpful. Now, if I want to say const squared equal to a dot map, and inside this I am passing a function. Okay, all the arrays or all the collection have all these three properties called map, filter, and reduce. Okay, now I am saying here map. I am passing a function here which takes in a number n and returns let me make it simpler here. Const square equal to function n that returns n into n. Okay. Square is a function that takes in a number and returns square of a number. Now, if I say here squared equal to a dot map square, what will happen? What will I get in squared variable? It's going to be 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. Now, if I say double is a function which returns twice of a number, and I map array A using double, then what I will get back in the variable doubled? Can anyone say?
So everything is double. So 2 and 4, 6, 8, 10.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. If I want to check, okay, whether a student has done 75% progress or not, okay, and get a result list of that here. So let's say there is an array of students where one student has name, foo, and progress a number like 75. Okay. Now what I want is a list of an array mapped to whether the students have completed 75% progress or not. Okay, what I will do here, const has completed or has progressed or has passed for that matter. A function student, it takes in a student object and return student.progress greater than or equal to 75. What this function does, it takes in a student variable, checks if the progress is more than 75, then it returns true. If it is not greater than 75, it's going to return false. Okay. Now if I say results students.map has passed, what I will get in results, if there is an array of students which has progress inside, I will get true, 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 false, false, true, etc., etc. Basically, okay, I think somebody has come, so I'll have to attend them. We might need to close today and do this tomorrow.
Okay, Raj.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry
ji.
for the interruption. Bye.
No, it's okay. No,
It's okay,
Hari Om.
Dhavalji. Thank
Yeah, you
you.
can close
Hari Om.
with the prayers.
Ha.
sure.
Okay. Hari Om.
Hari.
Rajita ji, will you tell the prayers?
Yes, yes. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Loka Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu.
Okay, ಹೇಳಿ.
Loka Samastaha Sukhino
Okay.
Bhavantu.
ಯಾವ್ದು break? ಹಿಂದೆನಾ ಮುಂದೆನಾ?
Samastaha Sukhino
ಹಿಂದೆ. Okay, ಸರಿ ಆಯ್ತು.
Bhavantu.